A common piece of advice in the investment community is you should get to know investors before you go to fundraise so they can track you, so they can get to know you. So when it is time for you to raise capital, you have those established relationships. It's easier to go to them. You have warm introductions instead of cold introductions or even hot introductions, so you can get right to those people. The catch-22 is oftentimes those same investors that give you that advice also tell you, oh, let's talk again. If you're not raising, let's talk when you're raising. Let's talk when you're raising. So I think that signals, when that happens, I think there's a couple signals there. Probably the most important one is that if they say, let's talk when you're actually raising capital, your idea or your concept or your vertical probably isn't super interesting to that investor. Otherwise, they would meet you. Even if you are too early and say, hey, we're not raising right now, but here's what I do. If it's a core to something that they're thinking about today, they will take a meeting. And even if you're not raising, doesn't mean you might not get an offer for capital if they really like you and you're in their core vertical. So one signal that you might get if you do try to reach out or try to get introduced to a couple investors prior to raising is like, hey, not right now, let's meet or reach out to me when you're actually raising capital. And so that's not a great signal. One thing I would think about is it's just as much work to try and build those relationships prior to raising a round as it is like while you're building and raising a round. And so what should you be focused on? Should you be focused on building investor relationships, or should you be focused on 100% on new sales and driving your business forward? Because fundraising is a full-time job. If I would err to one side, I would err to the side of building your company and driving those metrics that matter that are going to make it easier for you to raise your next round of capital. That being said, if investors reach out to you or you proactively reach out, or you go to conferences, if you're at one of the big tech conferences or a vertical focused conference for your startup that has investors at it, that's where I would dig in and spend some time building out relationships and networks. When you're already there, that's where you research, okay, here's all the investors that are gonna be here. You reach out to them before the conference, make sure you get, hey, we're gonna be here, we're not raising, but wanna meet since we're both in the same place, same time. And you start establishing some of those relationships so you can reach out to them directly. And then, sending them occasional customized, once a quarter, sending them an occasional customized update on your company to keep them in the loop. Or if you do a regular monthly investor update like I talk about all the time, you can add them to that. But I like the custom. I think it's a bit better touch versus just the general one that you send out to your investors. So the other thing is if they proactively reach out to you, it's often like an analyst, a lower level, and you have to decide if you want to use your time speaking with analysts at venture firms, or do you want to try to get directly to the partners. And so I do think it's beneficial to do when you're in situations where investors are already at. Should you carve out a whole bunch of time when you're not actively fundraising to just build a big giant network? Probably not. It's probably actually more effective to use that time to build your business up and execute against it, and then take advantage of when you're lucky because an investor reaches out or you happen to be at a conference where there's a lot of investors. That's where you go really hard at it and focus some time and effort into building and establishing those relationships. And then you have to maintain those relationships over time between your fundraising efforts. And it can really bear fruit for you if you were able to do that and build those networks and relationships early, and when you do need to go fundraise and raise capital, because at least they'll know you and they'll know you're a good communicator, and they'll be aware. So sometimes half the battle in fundraising is just getting investor introductions, because if you don't have that network, it's hard to do.